And for more, writer and blogger Sarah Erdrich with Feminists for Choice is here, along with Anna Franzanello from Americans United for Life. Thank you both for being here. So both of you ladies were at this March for Life. Why?
Well, I went as a pro-choice writer and activist, honestly, because I was curious. This is my 5th year living in Washington. I've been hearing about this march and what a big deal it is, and I wanted to witness it for myself.
How about you?
I went because obviously I'm pro-life, and I wanted to stand up for the unborn and for the women who have been hurt by abortion too, to see an overturn of Roe v. Wade.
It's interesting because you say, I'm pro-choice and I think I'm right. You say, I'm pro-life, I think I'm right. Why?
That's a big question.
That is a big question.
I suppose, personally, I feel that being pro-choice, I am pro-choice because I believe in what that says, that people should have choices, should be able to make their own decisions about their reproductive health and their reproductive, what path they want to take. And I support abortion as one of those choices, as well as parenting and adoption.
Well, I'm pro-life because I believe, all human beings have inherent dignity, and that abortion, not only does it hurt the unborn, obviously, by costing their lives, but it hurts women. It puts us, when we look at the legalization of abortion through Roe versus Wade, we see that women have been put in a situation now where we're told we either have to, kill our children or we're not going to succeed. And Roe versus Wade didn't liberate women. It has hurt women. People try to equate abortion to other medical procedures, but you don't see support groups for people that regret their kidney operation. But we do see hundreds of thousands of women who regret their abortion. It is something that has hurt women, and it involves the destruction of human life.
Let me just mention, throughout this show, we covered, of course, the tragic events from yesterday, the Moscow terror attacks, the state of the U.S. economy, which seems to be in shambles for a lot of folks here in the United States. Yet this is the issue that causes thousands of people to come to Washington, D.C. from all across the country. Is this really the issue that we should be focusing on, considering the political and economic climate that we're living in these days?
I don't think it should be a primary issue. I think that, as you mentioned, there are many more important issues.
Why is it such a politicized issue?
I think it is because it hits at that particular intersection of religion, of personal choice, of sex, and of freedom. And I think that those are all issues that are provocative and controversial and have been for generations and will continue to be. And I think that this is an issue that should have been settled law almost 40 years ago. But because it is that unique mix of elements, it just is not going away.
I guess the answer I would give is you don't ignore a big issue like abortion. We don't have to ignore the economy either, and they are intertwined.
They are?
Well, it would be akin to, I guess, asking, would you have ignored the slavery issue because the economy was bad in the South a long time ago? I mean, you don't ignore one big issue just because there are other issues.
Is that fair to equate
I don't think that's a fair analogy at all. I'm not really sure how one can say that because we have legal abortion, the economy suffers. I think you can make just as many arguments on the opposite side for that. But no, I don't really see that there's a comparison.
Well, I guess I wasn't saying that because we have legal abortion, the economy is suffering, but I think there's a complexity to all of these issues, and I don't think you ignore one issue because there are several issues. I think that it's not like an either or, we focus on one or the other.
It's interesting because some of our international viewers write in, they say, I don't understand why this is such a big issue here. I don't understand why this is like the #1 political issue, especially with so many other things going on. What makes America so different then in this case that this is a huge issue?
It would be because the way the courts took the decision away from the people. You look at Europe, and throughout Europe, the decision was made by the legislative branch of their governments of how they regulate abortion. And so there's been a difference in there. And there's also a difference in how Europe treats abortion. You look at France or Italy and how they recognize in their law, even if they have legalized abortion, there is a recognition of the rights of the unborn. So I think that would be the big reason why we have such division in the U.S. is because this was a decision that was made by the court to take it away from the people of how we're going to regulate abortion.
A lot of folks talk about states versus federal rights also when it comes to this, Sarah.
Well, I think that even before Roe v. Wade was made into law in 1973, a number of states had already moved towards liberalizing their own abortion law. So I think that to say that the Supreme Court took that decision away from the people may be a bit of an overstatement if you look at the progression of laws, particularly following Griswold in the mid-1960s. And in terms of state versus federal, I know that each state has the right to set their own laws, and we've seen there's a great difference in abortion laws across the country that I don't think people are necessarily aware of how much it differs in one state to the other.
I think only after Planned Parenthood versus Casey were we able to have more regulations on abortion. After Roe, you saw state laws just struck down across the board. So it is fair to say that, for the most part, the court did take away the right of states to legislate on abortion. And then we saw in Planned Parenthood versus Casey a slight rewording of Roe, allowing some regulations, but still people can't choose to regulate abortion the way that reflects the consensus of the American people.
I think here's where it gets tricky for a lot of people, because they usually associate the anti-abortion stance with a conservative political stance. But then they say, the conservatives are saying we have to get government out of our lives, but yet on this very personal, one of the most personal issues that there could be, they're saying we want sort of regulation.
Well, I think that I wouldn't say that it's all conservatives that are
right. It's not
pro-life.
all, but there's
a difference between you pointed out state versus federal. So there's a difference between even saying that you don't want government regulation versus you don't want government regulation on a federal level. So I think there's a complexity there, that there's a lot of people that are happier to see things done at a state level. But also we look at you're talking about you don't want the government involved, but there's a lot of things with the pro-abortion movement that they're actually asking the government to get involved by giving money to fund abortion, to fund these things, and actually asking the government to come into your bedroom with their dollars, which are supported by taxpayers. Well,
it's interesting, and I do want to take your point because it's a good point. What we've seen very briefly, Sarah, is a lot of videos of undercover videos. Lila Rose did some of people going into Planned Parenthood and them saying, "Don't tell me the father's age," or "Don't tell me this. I'll just do this for you," and those are taxpayer dollars. What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, I'm not entirely sure you can say they're taxpayer dollars. It depends on the Planned Parenthood. It's not an across the board, every Planned Parenthood gets taxpayer dollars for abortion. A lot of Planned Parenthoods also do health care, provide other services that I think many people would say should be funded by taxpayers.
Yeah, and that's definitely part of the debate. We got to go for now, but it was great having you both on, and we hope to have you on again soon. Thanks so much.